All right, thank you everyone for joining today. We're going to give everyone another minute or so to join. And in the meantime, if you want to post in the chat where you are tuning in from, I would love to see. We always get a pretty large worldwide audience with these webinars, sometimes South America, Eastern Europe, Africa even. So throw it into the chat. I would love to see it. Yeah, Vancouver, Canada. Awesome. San Diego. Derek, you're from San Diego, right?
I am from San Diego. Lived in San Diego for 10 years.
Awesome.
Got people from all over the place. EST, CDT, PST.
Look at that, we're global. Got someone from Colombia too.
Global. Oh, nice.
All right. And then simultaneously, another 30 seconds or so, if you want to post your favorite e-commerce brand into the chat, this includes speakers, so Nathan, Derek, and Lauren. If you want to post your favorite or one of your favorite brands into the chat, I think that's always a fun thing to do because we're obviously talking about all things e-commerce for the holidays. So if there's a brand that you like, throw it into the chat. I would love to see it. I got a Bird Dogs from Carly.
Go Clean Cause.
You can't go wrong with Clean Cause. I mean, I go through like 5 a day.
Yeah.
My friend works there and is one of the managing partners there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're out of Austin. BigCommerce, look at that. You see that, Lauren?
I have been trying, they are on Shopify. But he's yeah, it's hard nut to crack there, especially with friends.
Awesome.
People from
Cool. All right, we're 3 minutes past, so we can go ahead and get things rolling along. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I'm Michael from Justuno, and I'll be moderating this webinar. Today, we're joined with some of our awesome partners over at BigCommerce and Sendlane, and I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves. Derek, if you want to start us off.
Sure. What's going on, everybody? I'm Derek. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships at Justuno. Been at Justuno for about 4.5 years. Believe it or not, before I was advising on digital marketing strategies, I was actually advising people on how to paint their homes as I was an outside sales rep in the paint industry. So you're probably wondering how a guy that was advising on how people should paint their house is going to teach me some digital marketing strategies. I guess you'll just have to wait and find out. But it's nice to meet everybody.
Derek, I did not know that. I'll go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Lauryn Spence. I help lead agency partnerships here with BigCommerce. I've been with BigCommerce for about 7.5 years now in a variety of roles. So hopefully I have met a lot of the folks tuning in on the line. Prior to BigCommerce, I was at HP, but during my tenure, I have built and ran my own e-commerce store called Pride Chicken. It had nothing to do with chicken. It was actually an LGBTQ gift shop. No longer doing that. That was definitely a pet project, but feel free to ask me about it sometime.
Very cool. Hi guys, Nathan Guillen over at Sendlane, Senior Account Executive. Super excited to be talking to you guys today. There's a warm place in my heart for agencies. I actually ran a marketing agency for nearly a decade. And we actually produced a loyalty and rewards app that was SMS powered and sold that off. And right before Sendlane, worked at a web development agency as well. So I know exactly all of the effort that goes into helping out clientele. And so, yeah, very excited to be here with you all today.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all. All right. Without further ado, so yes, today it's all about the holiday season and preparing your clients for 2022 success. However, of course, that means with the season comes expectations. They're not always aligned. I'm sure y'all can relate to this. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get this kick started. So I'm going to launch a quick poll here. And so when does your agency begin planning the 2022 holiday strategy with your clients? Options are planned earlier this year already, which is fantastic. You've just now started planning. Maybe that's why you're here. You want to learn how to plan. You want to know what to do, things like that. Or you haven't planned anything at all yet, and you're not even sure where to begin. And so I'm going to give about 20, 30 seconds or so for everyone to answer that poll, and then I'll share those results. But yeah, so with in e-commerce, you know, the earlier you start planning, the better, right? I mean, obviously things are changing all the time and there's no way to really truly predict what's going to happen, but it's better to have a good plan and then have it change than have no plan and then be fumbling as we get closer. So I'm gonna end this poll right here. And so we saw about 60% or 3 of the respondents planned earlier this year already, which is fantastic. 12 of 19 of the respondents, so 63% just started, which makes perfect sense. So thank you for being here. And then another 21% haven't planned at all yet, which is perfect. So I think everyone here will have a lot to learn. Before we dive into the content from our panelists, we're going to run through a survey that Justuno ran, the 2022 Holiday Consumer Survey. So this is going to give you a good idea of how things are looking currently. We ran this last month, so pretty recent results. Surveyed over about 300 people. And so for this first question, when do you plan on starting your holiday shopping? So as we can see, the most notable call out here is November before Black Friday. That's 25%. Overall, that is, I want to say 40% will have already started shopping before Black Friday. So if you start planning and start setting your campaigns in October, you're already too late. You need to start getting these things in motion, ready to go as soon as you possibly can. Next up is, if you're thinking ahead to the holiday season, are you planning to shop during any of these particular days? Of course, Black Friday is the biggest winner, but with 60%. However, you can see that Giving Tuesday, Small Business Saturday, and even Thanksgiving are all on the up and up. And so Black Friday and Cyber Monday are not the only days to be focusing on. Looking at these other days, Small Business Saturday, Thanksgiving, these are great opportunities to double down on some of your campaigns to get more sales in, and because they might be ignored by some of your competitors or otherwise, and you'll be helping the clients quite a bit. Next up, where do you plan to do most of your holiday shopping this year? Of course, 62% said online. However, the in-person, which is almost at 30%, is on the rise from last year and likely only going to get bigger. And so this is a really important note. So if any of your clients have a brick and mortar location, it would be really crucial to make sure that they are activating both properly, advertising brick and mortar online, and then advertising online in the store to maximize the both. Next up, what are the top categories you expect to gift this year? So clothing at 54% is pretty high as always. Electronics, 46%. Jewelry, subscriptions, quite a few here, but I think one of the most important callouts here is the gift cards aspect of 50%. If your clients aren't using gift cards and selling them, then you're leaving a lot of money on the table, and it's a really, really easy way to help jumpstart performance with based on this result. Sorry about that. All right. Further, which of the following would you rather pay more for? Faster shipping, sustainable products, supporting small businesses, or other? So really, this one is all about knowing what your customers are willing to pay extra for. Shipping and guaranteed delivery are, as always, 40% high up there. It's one of the most important elements. Shipping is one of the most important elements across the board. However, if sustainability is an important component of a brand, and you're not marketing that, again, kind of leaving money on the table there. So be attuned to what your customers are willing to pay more for. And lastly, how will your spending for the 2022 holidays compare to last year's? 51%, they said to spend this about the same as 2021, 21% less than 2021, and 15% more than 2021. So it's a bit interesting here. 51% about the same. That being said, these numbers, like, it's kind of hard to say what exactly will happen, and it's kind of surprising to see that it's going to be the same or less overall than last year. But so with all this in mind, last slide here for y'all is consumers spent a total of 10.7 billion during Black Friday. Sorry, y'all. Spent a total of 10.7 billion during Black Friday, Cyber Monday in 2021, which is down only 100 million from 2022. However, that makes sense. I think we can expect even more this year. For Justuno customers in particular, Black Friday was the biggest with 198.2 million, with 7.5% coming from pop-ups, featuring a 15.5% conversion rate overall. Stores supported by BigCommerce saw a per store sales increase of 27% on average during the Cyber 5 weekend compared to 2013, with a 44% increase in mobile purchases. So with all this in mind, I know it's a lot of numbers thrown out at y'all. With all this in mind, let's dive straight into the content featuring Lauryn from BigCommerce. So sharing my screen.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with the audience here. Feel free to give me a nod, panelists, if everything looks good on our end.
Everything looks great.
Awesome. All right. So like I mentioned, everyone, my name is Lauryn Spence. I help lead agency partnerships here at BigCommerce. And I'm really excited to cover this topic today, because arguably this is probably one of the most important things that you as an agency can be thinking about for your clients, right? Because this is going to be, more than likely their peak selling time, right, out of any given part of the year. And there's a lot going on right now in the market, right? With a potential recession coming, there's a lot of, different ways people are trying to cut costs. And, some of those stats that Michael shared are really sharing customer sentiments, right? And people might not be spending as much. So what do we do, right, to maximize those things? I'm going to be talking about, 3 key trends that I see really impacting, how you can prep your clients for the holidays, and then go into just a couple of tactics within each. So first I'll cover, some holiday buying behaviors, how to maximize margins, again, with some of the trends, maybe with surges in gas prices and things like that. And then lastly, just some ideas around enhancing your customer's brand. And this is really kind of generated from, a collection of thousands of conversations I've had around this topic in my nearly 8 years at BigCommerce. So hopefully you guys find this valuable. So first and foremost, when preparing for holiday buying behaviors, definitely remember, everyone is an impatient shopper. That's not unique to the holidays, but especially more so during the holidays. Even Michael's survey showed people are going to be buying at peak selling times, whether that be Black Friday, Cyber Monday, they're waiting for those deals. You want to ensure that your clients' sites don't make their customers go like this guy, right, and look really frustrated. Now, what do you do about that, right? What are some things that you can do to control that experience? So I promise this will be the only shameless plug for BigCommerce in my whole presentation. But one of the first fundamentals you got to get right is make sure that the platform that your customers are on is scalable and can handle the peak surges in traffic. So if you have customers that are on, say, something that's open source or custom, like Magento or WooCommerce, definitely I would encourage you to look at a multi-tenant SaaS platform like BigCommerce that can handle that. And to that point, it's not too late. On average, we do migrations and launches within 90 days. So something worth considering. Now, aside from that, let's say, a replatform is not in question, or maybe they're already on, something like BigCommerce or say a Shopify. What are some of the other things you can do, to help improve site speed and just the overall experience? We have a ton of literature for agencies and things you can do with the theme, like decreasing dynamic homepage displays, or even doing things like enabling Google AMP. There's also, aspects within just like the navigation, right? So once the site is performant, then once they get there, can their shoppers find what they're looking for, right? Maybe if you're running a specific campaign on a certain subset of products, make sure that category is very visible and easy to find, or even, make sure to implement things like faceted search, right? Especially if your customers have extremely large catalogs. If they can't, if their shoppers can't find what they're looking for quickly, they're gonna look elsewhere. And then finally, once they actually find that product, right? Let's say they drill down, the navigation's beautiful, the site speed is performant. Then you got to make sure making sure your clients are over communicating information on their site. So whether that be inventory levels, shipping expectations, having an FAQ, and if you don't have all that, maybe if you do, definitely look at installing a chatbot, right? You want to minimize the amount of times they need to call in or reach out to the merchant. And if they can find what they need in a more automated fashion, it's going to help boost conversions. We interviewed a bunch of shoppers and they found that they don't mind interacting with any kind of robot or AI tool. So as long as that they're getting the info they're looking for. So kind of recap that, making sure it's a highly performant site, world-class navigation and search, and making sure that all the product information is up to date and ramping up that chatbot support. And so the other trend that we're seeing is new payment preferences. So Michael also touched on this in the survey, but we're all really familiar with, functions such as, Apple Pay and, Google Pay, all kinds of wallets, right? But we've seen a massive increase in adoption of buy now, pay later options, such as Klarna, Affirm, and many others. Historically, we've really seen this for high AOV items, whether that be a mattress or say like a Peloton. I'm still paying mine off with Affirm right now. But we're seeing this for other items like through Stormy Cromer here as an example, or Revelry, right? For, items that aren't necessarily thousands of dollars. And if customers are, thinking, well, maybe I'm not going to be spending as much online this year, I think a lot of it has to do with the economic climate, which I'm certainly not going to debate here today. So if you can minimize that like upfront costs and really kind of reduce that blow, that's really going to increase conversions for your clients. The last but not least, is COVID over? Certainly another can of worms, I promise I'm not going to open here on this call. But what we have seen, that also Michael revealed, is people are getting back in stores again. We saw a slight decline in online spend this year, largely due to that. So, what does this mean for you as an agency? Well, if you have customers that do have an in-store, experience, have a brick and mortar operation, it's, the best guidance here is to make sure that that whole process is completely unified, frictionless, and seamless. So some specifics, loyalty programs, right? Making sure that they can earn and redeem points in both places, online and offline. Gift cards, like Michael also mentioned, is a really popular method of purchasing. So ensuring that both of those are working across the platforms. BigCommerce has many solutions for that. Reach out to your channel account manager if you'd like some recommendations there. And then also, buy online, pick up in store, right, is another popular way of shopping. So again, that kind of goes back to ensuring inventory levels are up to date, and you have good integrations there that are enabling you to deploy that functionality for your clients. Okay, so my second topic is around maximizing margins. So I'm sure any merchant, any time of year is always going to want to be doing this, but I wanted to focus on two things that are just kind of hot topics right now in 2022. So first and foremost, kind of before getting into all these, there's just going to be a lot that you as an agency will need to do, more so than just like deploying, discount codes, right, to help increase AOV and get more products in the cart. You're going to have to get a little bit more tactical. So one of those first tactical pieces is reevaluating and doing some shipping price audits. And the reason for that is with the hike in gas prices, we're seeing huge surcharges in shipping. We kind of looked at, every carrier we have, and everyone is, seeing fuel charges on their contracts around 6 to 10%. And reason for that is simply just the distance that an average e-commerce merchant's products have to ship to get to their end client. So for example, when someone's buying a package from Amazon or a product from Amazon, that package on average travels about 100 miles to the end user. An average e-commerce merchant without a 3PL or big fulfillment network like Amazon, that package has to travel about 1,000 miles, right? So just by sheer math, the way you're going to reduce that distance is look at leveraging some type of 3PL. Whether that be, utilizing things within Amazon fulfillment or other partners of ours like ShipBob and ShipHero and many others. It's simply just going to reduce costs, reduce the distance that the package needs to travel, and therefore help maximize the margins. The other thing around shipping too is it's definitely worth taking a look at, how they're managing their packaging and using fewer boxes. Every little bit that you can help your clients with will make a huge impact, and they'll have more to spend with you as an agency. And the second one here is having an omni-channel strategy. So you might be wondering, well, how is this, maximizing margins, especially, if you're adding other channel tools that add another monthly fee. And I'll tell you is having an omni-channel approach with an e-commerce operation is going to lower your customer acquisition costs and have higher return on ad spend, period. The lion's share of commerce is happening with most of us scrolling through our phones on Instagram and TikTok at night. So what that means is gone are the days of their shoppers finding them through one static channel. So hopefully this is not a new or foreign concept to anyone on this call. I doubt it is, but it's worth looking at, how are you optimizing those feeds, right? A lot of different solutions out there. BigCommerce, obviously acquired Feedonomics not too long ago. This is definitely a solution worth looking at if you have merchants that are more established, like say doing a couple million in online sales annually. We found that just adding one channel through this solution is going to increase revenue for those clients by about 38%. That's insane. And then if they're already selling like through other channel management and they're used to omni-channel selling, doing it through a tool like this is going to save them about 50 hours a month. So huge revenue lift, a lot of error prevention. So what's in it for you as the agency? We have an Omni certification program that you can get involved in, has robust training involved. It's actually another source of like lead flow for you as an agency. You can get commissions. It's a way for you to also monetize like your PPC management and white label that for your merchants. So definitely a big topic. We could have a whole webinar on it, but punchline here is if your clients don't have another channel and they're not selling across another channel, they certainly need to be doing that, especially with a tool like Feedonomics, which is essentially like SEO for your feeds. And then last but not least, want to talk about some ways that customers, you can help them enhance their brand. So Mike also talked about some factors on why merchants might buy from, or why shoppers might buy from certain merchants. Sustainability is a huge topic. Like even myself as a millennial, like if I'm looking at buying a shirt from company A versus company B that sources products ethically and maybe they donate to a greater cause, I am definitely going to buy from company B, right? And so some examples here, you don't necessarily, your client portfolio is probably not people selling composable bags and plant-based ink and things, but something that is very tangible in your control is maybe encouraging them to get involved in a higher mission, whether that be donating a portion of profits to a cause, maybe even registering their business to a carbon buyback program and then advertising that in campaigns. It's just going to increase conversions. And I personally don't think that that's self-serving in the name of getting more conversions. It's a win-win if the cause is sustainable and they're giving back in some way. But since we may or may not be heading into a recession, maybe your clients can't afford to donate a portion of profits right now. One other item you can take a look at is to help them demonstrate sustainable values all the way down to packaging. So this is a company, actually, they're a BigCommerce customer. They're called No Issue. They sell tissue and sustainable packaging for merchants. So again, maybe if they can't go all in on a cause and re-overhaul the brand in that way, well, maybe they can look at restructuring and using different kind of packaging materials and advertise that. That will also have a very material impact to the brand. All right. And last but not least here, having hyper-tailored and personalized experiences. We could have an entire webinar on this topic. This is probably the most important one that I'm leaving off with. And reason being is, shopper loyalty, we've just seen that wax and wane over the years. And we're just seeing that, customers that feel an emotional connection with the brand and feel that their content is relevant to them, they're more likely to stay engaged and buy. And it used to be, how can I find the quickest, cheapest, fastest product? It's starting to go back the other way to loyalty. So what I mean by having hyper-tailored personalized experiences, I mean that at every touch point. So that even means, ads with personalized marketing, which Sendlane is going to talk about, on the website with product recommendations, which Justuno has solutions for, and even which device you're going to be engaging, with the brand on, right? I know Justuno has solutions for that as well. And the only way you're going to accomplish this for your clients is just through data. And we know that that's incomplete, hard to find, and consistent. So one thing we're looking at on the BigCommerce side is about a year ago, we launched Big Open Data Solutions. It's essentially a collection of best-of-breed tools for data warehousing, business analytics, customer data platforms, and personalization and more. It just gives you a more unified view into what products are performing and how to make use of certain channels. I'd say last thing too is we do have a customer segments API. It's more developer-centric, but it's going to allow you to develop more customized experiences for your BigCommerce merchants. Now, the irony here is, merchants want tailored experiences like this. Like, for example, this shopper is, seeing their local weather and they're seeing product recommended to them that's conducive to that weather, but they also want their privacy. So especially with the recent like iOS updates, right? Opting out of target data. So it's probably a good segue here to go to Justuno. Derek's going to talk about tactics for capturing data, getting that zero party or first party data that's going to help you with that personalization.
Awesome. Lauren, that was a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much for walking us through that. Michael, is there going to be questions at the end?
I saw one come in actually, and they wanted to know if you could elaborate on the Omni certification program. What is that exactly?
Yeah, for sure. So it's a new tiered agency program. So it's going to deliver services to help your merchants with their omni-channel strategy, and that's going to be through feed management with Feedonomics, Omni consults, also more dedicated partner channel access. What I mean by that is access to alphas and betas for things like Buy with Prime or Target Plus and Walmart. Create a new revenue stream for you as an agency, right? Through like PPC as well as commissions for referrals. And it's all coupled with a bunch of course content and materials. So it's definitely something all inclusive to help agencies, ramp up that strategy and also earn more dollars.
Awesome.
Thanks, Lauren.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lauren.
All right, Derek.
All right, everybody. So we're going to be talking about the fun stuff now. We're going to be talking about ads. I know everybody loves ads. We spent a ton of money on ads to drive visitors to our website. And I'm going to be talking through some strategies on how we can optimize conversion rates from paid traffic with the money that you're spending or that your clients are spending to get visitors to the website. So a lot of the time, what you're going to realize is that Facebook advertising last year alone accounted for about $50 billion in spend. And this was 32% up from the previous year. And we continued that we're going to probably see that trend moving forward in 2022, as Michael had alluded to earlier. So it's projected that a growing number of e-commerce businesses, what they're going to do is they're going to really adopt solutions that are going to help them automate their pay-per-click campaigns. And they're going to want to use more, I guess you could say, better strategies to convert these visitors into actual sales and automate the process, because it's also a very time-consuming process for a lot of brands as well. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk through some strategies and some techniques that can really help you guys with that. And I'm going to give you 4 tips. First tip is that lead capture is, hey, Mike, can you give me a second, man? Give me just a second, okay? Sorry, guys, I'm just having a little bit of like presenter's block right now.
No worries.
So first and foremost, lead capture is super, super important, guys. So what I mean by that is that first party consented data is really critical in the sense that you are not going to be able to remarket or retarget people effectively unless you have that first party consented data. So a lot of brands, what they do is they will retarget and remarket people, not knowing that a person has not left behind consented data, which can get you in a lot of hot water and a lot of trouble. Another thing too is that if you try and retarget and you try and remarket people without having that first party consented data, we've actually found that the conversion rate is much, much lower. So a lot of brands are spending as high as $2 to get a visitor to come to a website. And then you're spending $2 more to remarket that person with an ad and get them to the website. And we're finding that brands are spending as high as, even $4 sometimes, and it's not leading to any attributable, measurable data that can be used and that can be repackaged. So when you're thinking of this in terms of preparing for the holidays specifically, as it relates to the holidays, you want to start collecting as much data as you can now, and you really want to start loading up your email and your SMS list early on, because this is going to be the data that's going to be integral to making sure that your campaigns and that your ad campaigns and your email and your SMS campaigns are performing at the best place that they need to perform. So transitioning, let's kind of go through a visual example here that I can kind of walk everybody through. This is a client that we work with called Pre-Mama. On the front end, when visitors are coming to a website, like I mentioned, you want to find a way to get that first party consented data collected, which is either an email address or a phone number. And you want to try and collect as much information as you can on the front end. This visitor has either come to the site organically, this visitor has either come through an ad, but regardless, you want to have that data because that data is going to be the foundation of what that experience is going to be like moving forward for the visitor on the website. So as you can see here in this example right here, if I'm a mother that's preparing for pregnancy, I would hope that every time that I come to pre-mama that I'm going to be seeing an experience that's relative to the fact that I'm preparing for pregnancy. And when I leave the website, the truth of the matter is that some of these visitors that are, enrolling in your email marketing campaigns or your SMS marketing campaigns or visiting the website, they're probably not going to purchase the first go around. So when they leave the website, you want to make sure that that experience and that offsite experience with the ads specifically is mirroring the messaging of what data has been left behind by that visitor, which is data that the brand then owns, which can be done through platforms like Justuno. So what are some lead capture best practices for everybody? You guys have maybe heard of the concept of gamification before. Gamification could be a very gimmicky thing if you think about it, because we think of the traditional spin to win, but there's other ways that you can collect people's first party consented data and an email address and a phone number through things like mystery prizes. Another thing that you can do too is you can do choose your own experience or your own brand adventure, which is something that's extremely on brand that a lot of merchants are seeing. And we're seeing opt-in rates as high as 25%. Another thing too is it's not always necessary to collect the email and the phone number on the same step. What we've actually found is that it's more effective to collect the email the first go around and not collect the SMS number until later on in the process as you are nurturing that person through your email campaigns to get them to opt into SMS or after they've made a purchase. Tip number 2, so target your visitors by source. So what do I mean by this? I can't begin to tell you how many brands do this over and over again, where they're giving a consistent 15% offer to every single visitor that's coming to the website. You may find that it's not even necessary to give a discount to collect somebody's email address. What we've actually found is that organic visitors that are searching organically or go to a website or type in the domain have a 6% higher likelihood of converting. So in that instance, it would probably make a lot more sense not to show them a discount to get that first party consented data, and then show the discount to the people that you're spending money on to get to the website that you're paying through Facebook or through Google AdWords or through whatever that channel may be, and then getting that collected. And what we found that this does is this significantly reduces your cost per acquisition, because now you're not giving away pointless discounts. I mean, some of the brands that we work with don't even use discounting at all, and they simply just use copy that just matches where the visitor came from. So if I'm searching for a Father's Day gift, for example, I want to make sure that that opt-in, collection is matching up the fact that that I was searching for Father's Day gifts. Something as simple as that can, be a very, very simple trick that can lower your cost per acquisition significantly and help you save thousands of dollars on ads. So here's kind of another example here. Pura Vida, who's one of the brands that we work with. A very, very simple strategy that you can use when a visitor is clicking through an ad, for example. Let's say that I'm looking for Father's Day gifts. You can have a coupon code that's at the top of the screen that is easy to click and easy to copy, that will be automatically added to the cart. So you want to make the conversion path with as little resistance as possible. And applying these simple banners, I know that they seem gimmicky, but they through split testing, we found that just having these can really reduce the amount of time that it takes a visitor to convert. And it could be the difference between a visitor converting and not converting. Third tip, so reducing cost per acquisition to increase return on ad spend. We've talked a little bit about this in detail, but the thing is with like cost per acquisition is a lot of the time when you're spending money to get people to come to the website, that's also the best chance for you to serve up the best offer that you have. And again, I mentioned earlier, probably not the best thing to do for people that are visiting the site organically. But when people are coming to that website and Cyber Monday and Black Friday is around, you want to have that offer front and center. And especially for those people that are coming through those ads, and especially for those people that are coming through email, you want to make it super easy for people to copy that code. And you want to make it super easy for people to convert and to check out. So the higher the offer, the higher incentive that you're going to give to people, the more likely they're going to be to convert. Here's another example of a client that we work with, Shinesty. They were seeing significant increase, they're seeing significant bounce rate on their website. And like I mentioned earlier, with that simple click to copy banner, they actually lowered their bounce rate by 20% by implementing that strategy. So we've gone through a lot. I've gone through a couple of tips here, but before we transition into our next slides, Mike, I did have a poll here. So I was wondering if you could ask this question. How many hours per week are you guys spending on uploading and updating and creating lookalike audiences into your Google and your Facebook ad campaigns?
I just launched the poll. We'll give them about a minute or so to respond, and then I'll share those results.
Perfect.
I know secondhand, my partner used to work for an agency, and I know that horror stories of the holiday season and just the amount of hours spending on very monotonous, like manual things that really could be automated otherwise. Give them another 30 seconds or so, and then I'll close this out. For those in the audience, please take an answer for this poll, and I'll share it out. All right.
Nice. Wow, there's only one person that answered 10 plus. Looks like most of you are spending about 1 to 3 hours, which I think would be standard. And some of you are spending 4 to 6 hours. Okay. Well, what's the reason for this poll? What's the segue here? So like Mike mentioned earlier, this is a task that can be fully automated. And I'm sure that some of you have heard of this before, but Audience Sync is the best way to automate this process. For some of you that are using certain email service providers or marketing automation platforms, you probably already use some form of Audience Sync. But the strategy behind Audience Sync is what I think a lot of people tend to forget. And what I mean by that is that in that example that I showed earlier with Pre-Mama, where I had the drop down notating my preferences, depending on those preferences that I selected, that should be the ad campaign that I get enrolled in. So what I see a lot of brands do is a lot of brands will just retarget anybody that comes to the website, or they'll retarget anybody that leaves an email behind, which is fine. But the truth of the matter is that if you don't have specific targeting campaigns that match up the visitor profile or the behavior of that visitor and that information that they left behind, you're shooting yourself in the foot, and you're spending more money than you need to spend. And not to mention, when you are retargeting people that are not leaving behind that first party consented data, you can get in a lot of hot water and the brand can get in a lot of trouble. And that's not something that you want to happen. So it serves a dual purpose in protecting the merchant, but it also means that the ad spend is going to be much more effective. And so when we look at that bottom line at the end of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, there's going to be a lot less money that's going to have been spent with higher conversion rates as well. So the last part of all of this, none of this works unless we're split testing. We all know the importance of A/B testing. I'm not going to get into too many details with it, but control groups are typically something that are ignored by a lot of brands, meaning that test something out without even offering a discount and see if the visitors are still converting. It might not even be necessary to give a discount. And something as simple as just changing an image background could lead to an increase in lead capture as high as 5% by just changing an image. So let's kind of wrap this up and tie this all together. So like, what is the ideal experience that we're really looking for here? Money is spent on ad, top of the funnel campaign with awareness. I'm scrolling on Instagram. I click on that ad. I come to the website. The brand should immediately get that first party consented data, whether that's a phone number, whether that's an email address. And there needs to be incentive, and there needs to be something that is relative to like what I am searching or what is inside of that ad to make me more likely to leave behind my first party data. Most visitors are not going to convert that first time or that first go around, but why not give it a shot to see if there's an additional offer that you can give somebody to where they don't want to leave the site and they want to make a purchase. And again, this doesn't have to just be done with discounting. Lauren earlier was mentioning the power of sustainability with brands as well. And brands that have like mission statements that are, that have sustainable practices. You'd be surprised that mentioning simple things like that can keep a visitor on a website, and you can redirect them to a product page and keep them from going to another competitor. We've seen that to be very effective and work in place of discounting. So visitor doesn't purchase, that's completely fine. You now have that first party consented data, and then the feedback loop starts all over again. But the next time that they come to the website, they're not seeing that collection anymore. They're now seeing a complete different on-site experience that's leveraging product recommendations that are matching up with their previous behavior and products that they looked at. There's different types of strategies that are, convincing them to push them across the funnel, such as messaging, the call to action banners with the quick copy coupon codes. And so again, this repeats and this keeps going, but a lot of people that are going to be entering in their emails or their phone numbers very, very early on, such as myself, we're going to be looking at multiple different brands that are offering up the best offers. And we're probably going to be going with the brands that are going to be speaking the best to us through the ads that we're being retargeted through, or the email campaigns and SMS campaigns that are nurturing us, which transitions me into our next topic of discussion, where Nathan is going to talk a little bit more about some of the SMS and email retention strategies that you can use to keep your audiences engaged up to that point where the visitor is ready to convert. But in closing, I know it's kind of a random question here, but as you guys are thinking through everything that we've covered, I'm just curious, and you can type it in the chat if you want to type it in the chat. What are some of the things that you're most apprehensive with as we head into the holidays, given all of the things that we've covered? So without further ado, Nathan, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek. Appreciate the intro to that.
Yeah.
And yeah, really good information, guys. The acquisition strategy is key for ensuring that you are getting your return on that ad spend, right? But it is very, very important that once you have that information, that first party consent data, that we are doing something with it, right? Or else what was the point? So I appreciate you guys sticking around here to the presentation. So I'm gonna just hop right in. And before we get into like the really meat and potatoes of everything, I wanna make sure that we really understand why retention is important, right? So one thing to keep in mind, it is 25 times more difficult, right, to acquire a new customer, new data, than to retain them, right? So once you have that email, once you have that phone number, how do we continue to nurture our audience, right? And how do we continue to help our clientele nurture that audience? So an existing customer will spend 31% more on a purchase, right? So what this means is we have to help our clients have a strategy to ensure that we are taking that first purchaser to become a second-time buyer, right? Because look at the difference. From a single purchaser to a second is a 27% chance that they'll come back, right? But once you have a second-time buyer, now it's a 45% likelihood that they will buy that third time. Once they're a 3-time repeat buyer, over 50% likely to buy. This is huge, right? You have to have a strategy in place to have nurture campaigns and flows that are targeted, that are taking advantage of the data that Justuno has captured to ensure that your messaging, right, is as relevant as possible and build up those brand champions, right? Super important. A repeat spending buyer, 17% more per transaction, up to 25% more during the holidays, which is what we're talking about today, right? So very much relevant. So I want to make sure that we understood these numbers, these stats, so that as we go through the information, we have the right context as to why it is so important to have a strategy in place, have it be relevant, and prepare our customers now so that come holiday season, ideally, they're already a second-time buyer, they're already a third-time buyer, and really have a big, big holiday season, right? So what are we going to be talking about today? Really quickly, just acknowledge where we are in terms of life in general, right? Where are our customers at and how are they feeling with everything that's going on in the world? 2, setting some brand expectations. And then finally, the main topic is how do we make the magic happen, right? How do we leverage the data and how do we turn that into a strategy that drives sales? So the times that we're living in, extraordinary times. Just throwing out a bunch of headlines here. We are unprecedented global news that we're being bombarded with, right? Living through a war that has impacted basically the entire world, the uncertainty of the economy. There's a lot of things that might be cause for concern for consumers and for our brands as well, right? But the good news, the light at the end of the tunnel here is that expectations are still quite high in terms of the potential for business, right? As we see here for 2022, is still projected to have huge spend. Holiday season is still going to be strong. We saw the stats from Michael earlier in the presentation. We still have an opportunity to help our brands capitalize on these projections, right? So let's talk about how do we make that happen? How do we capitalize on this opportunity? So let's figure out how to make that magic happen, right? So here's a quick checklist of holiday best practices. Don't worry about screenshotting it. We'll have the recording, right? We'll have the presentation afterwards. But the number one thing that's actually really important that I like to tell people is the holiday season is really the one time a year where consumers are expecting emails, right? You want to encourage your brands to be proactive in having that conversation, reaching out to them. They're looking for that. Consumers are gonna start their buying and shopping experience from the emails and text messages that they're gonna be receiving, right? From my own personal experience, when I'm looking for something and I know I have seen that in my inbox, it's still sitting there, right? I don't typically just junk it right away. If it's something I'm interested in, I'm keeping the email because I know, oh yeah, that one item that had a discount in it, right? And you start your shopping experience there. So they're expecting emails. 2, the reason we are talking about holiday season planning in the first week of July, we have to start really early and plan for it, right? Give us time to test and test a lot, right? Take advantage of what we learned from last year to help plan for this year. Leveraging dates and times. This is key, right? We have to always keep reminding consumers where they are at within the buying cycle in context of the calendar year, right? Create sense of urgency, have them understand what holidays are coming up and the specials that are coming up, and leveraging those dates to put a little pressure to make a move, right? Number 4, the more holiday centric, the stronger the results. What does this mean? This means don't be generic, right? Keep it relevant, keep it tied to the holiday that we're talking about. Be playful with it, and your audience is going to appreciate it. Try and stand out when it comes to the messaging on that front, right? Number 5, I think, is one of the key new channels that we're seeing a lot of good results in, and that is incorporating SMS into the strategy, right? Interweaving email and SMS together for a strong strategy, especially for limited time offerings or sales, a new product drop. SMS, huge for that. The numbers that we're seeing based on this is astounding. So ensure that you're working with a marketing platform that allows you to incorporate email and SMS unified on a single platform. Number 6, man, you guys really need to talk to your brands and ensure they are not just blasting the entire audience every single time, Okay, that is the fastest way to annoy your audience and to drive unsubscribes, right? Leverage segmentation. What does this mean? It means that you're taking advantage of intent signals that your audience is giving your brand, right? What are they interested in? What have they been browsing? What are they clicking through on, right? All of these data points should be used to create those segments and those lookalike audiences for your ad retargeting, right? And your audience is going to appreciate that the fact that what you're displaying to them is in fact what they are actually interested in, right? And what they will most likely convert on. Very important. Number 7, tracking. There is absolutely no way you're going to be able to optimize and pick out winning combinations and have a successful strategy if there is no data, right? What you're doing today and what you're planning for and the results that happen from this year's strategy has to influence next year, right? And the year after that. You can only do that if you're properly tracking things, right? If someone clicks through one of your messages, whether it's an SMS or an email, do you know exactly what that click was, what product it was for, and can you retarget them successfully, right? If the answer is no on any of those, there's room for improvement, right? And number 8, having the right tools in place. This is important because, again, we're in the summer, but we are preparing now for that holiday season. This is a great opportunity to reach out to your BigCommerce team, right? Ensure that you have the site in tip-top shape, right? Perfect opportunity to reach out to your Justuno team. Ensure that all of the spend that you're gonna have coming up, that you're capitalizing it, right? All the traffic that's coming in, do you have the opportunity to collect that email, collect the SMS, collect consent, right? And all the necessary data to drive a tailored customer experience. Very important. So when you're talking to your clientele, one of the key tips that we like to share is, it's not a one size fits all, right? Connect with your client and understand what is the best offer that this brand can offer their audience, right? Every product is unique. Every model is unique. So, have that dialogue to understand if it's discount based, right? What is that key number that really moves the needle? That requires testing, right? Is this the best offer of the year? Your audience will detect whether or not you're lying or whether or not it's actually a legitimate sale, right? Full site discounts or tiered discounts to incentivize a higher cart value, right? Gifting, if we're nearing Christmas or any gift giving holiday, can you incentivize your audience with a higher cart value, including a gift with their purchase, right? Are there bundling opportunities that you can strategize with your clientele, right? Some neat cart level special product selling, understanding what's in the cart to then deliver a personalized upselling opportunity. And again, reiterating one of the most important things, important topics that you should bring up with your clients is mentioning email and SMS together as being the best channels for discounted messaging, right? So definitely make sure we have a conversation around what is best for each client. All right, curating list growth and experience. So this is where, for example, our good friends over at Justuno can absolutely help you with ensuring that you have a focus on your homepage, on any of those landing pages, updating them with more holiday-centric messaging and imagery. Your pop-ups, have them be relevant. Do not let them go stale. The audience can see that when things are fresh and new and unique to where we are in the calendar year, will drive a better experience, right? And having a flow behind that pop-up that continues on that through line of messaging will result in better engagement from your audience, right? One area that sometimes there's a little debate on, right, is how aggressive can you get in the abandoned cart flows. That's definitely an area that you can look into and get a little more aggressive in terms of your messaging and your frequency, right? I know I do it. I'm sure most of you do it, but we do a lot of window shopping during the holiday season, right? You're always browsing different stores. You might have your list of everyone you want to give gifts to. You put them all in the cart just to see how much it's going to cost, right? It's a lot of window shopping. We can get aggressive. We know that they're going to be doing this. We can reach out and have a continuous reminder of what's in their cart. If there's discounts that apply, ping them with an SMS if you have that consent, right? Interweave email and SMS in those abandoned cart flows. That will drive conversions. Having strong welcome and post-purchase email flows. Huge. Make them relevant, right? Having a strong welcome series will ensure that the brand is top of mind for when it's time to make the purchase. I know Derek alluded to this in his presentation where people might not typically make a purchase right on that first visit, right? Well, what incentivizes them to come back and actually make that final purchase? It's welcome series, relevant welcome series, right? Based on their intent signals. So that's another topic to ensure that your clients are very well aware of and an area that you can help with.
Hey, Nathan, real quick,
Yeah.
we're coming up, we've got about 15 or so minutes left. I just want to give you a quick heads up on time.
Okay, perfect. Well, then I'll just wrap up the end part here. So again, second purchase upsells, really make sure that there is a strategy in place to ensure that if you have a customer that bought once, you are capturing them for that second sale. Once you have that second sale, the probability of them becoming brand champions increases a lot, right? So I'll skip the rest. Most of these are fairly obvious here. And guys, I know it's summer. Now is the time to get approval for that holiday calendar. Make sure you have that winning strategy in place, that you are including what you've learned from last year, include some new elements this year, and test. Okay, very important. Having a proven framework, and again, I have to go a little bit quicker. You'll have the access to the slide. This is a proven customer journey for you guys, for you to use and have a starting point for your strategy, okay? And that's really it. I mean, retargeting, we talked about already, and so I won't mention that. So just to kind of sum it all up, we definitely want to stay nimble to changing needs, helping out, put out the client fires. Your teams over at BigCommerce and Justuno at Sendlane are all here to help and support you. So please feel free to reach out. And we are very excited to be helping you help your clients be successful for this holiday season.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. Appreciate that. We have a few minutes here, so we can dive right into questions. So real quick, I think one would to start with. So actually in the chat, there's some comments about pop-ups. So Derek, I think this would be perfect for you.
Yeah.
So Bonnie said that customers tell us that they don't like pop-ups. Personally, I don't like them either, but you're saying they're effective.
Yeah, pop-ups are super annoying, actually. I can attest to that. It's a great question. And the truth of the matter is that one of the best ways to build your list is through pop-ups. And a lot of the times pop-ups are done in the wrong way. And that's why split testing is important as well. We have plenty of clients that we work with that are not fans of pop-ups, but with our segmentation and our targeting rules with Justuno, you can make sure that these pop-ups don't necessarily show up on the first page. What we found actually is that you have higher intent purchasers that are more likely to leave their email behind when you show a pop-up maybe on the second or third page, instead of just hitting them with a pop-up immediately when they come to the website, which is what a lot of brands do. So we have strategic consultants and advisors that test these things, but you may have a lower collection rate, but you're going to have a higher conversion rate with displaying a pop-up maybe on a third page or on a specific product page. So there's different strategies and techniques that you can use, but pop-ups are kind of just an unnecessary evil, I think, that a lot of brands need if email or SMS marketing is a big part of your marketing strategy.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek.
Yeah.
Another quick one. You mentioned, so Lauren, you mentioned buy now, pay later options, but what are you recommending for checkout options that compete with Shop Pay?
Yeah, actually, we get this question a lot with BigCommerce, and just kind of throwing it out there to before getting to an answer. We're always going to take the stance of being a best of breed platform, right? And never going to bring that kind of proprietary solution in house. So we're going to want to partner with, industry leaders in the space, because the tech your clients might be using today might not necessarily be what they want to use tomorrow, right? So we want to give your merchants that freedom to choose. I'd say, biggest contender and, highly recommended partnership we have is with Bolt. They have an excellent one-click checkout offering, and actually we've seen 50% better conversions within that Bolt network. They have a 66% higher repurchase rate with their solution, and their network of tens of millions of shoppers. What's great about it is, if you're shopping from, say, Lucky brand, which uses Bolt checkout, but maybe you're a BigCommerce merchant and you installed Bolt checkout. Well, your shoppers, if they have maybe shopped with Lucky brand before, like that data carries over, right? So it's not just, BigCommerce platform centric, which is really exciting. And they, just installing that, you're going to see like 2x of the mobile, checkout completion rate. And all the things around PCI compliance and things like that are checked off as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Lauryn.
Yeah.
All right, we're at 2 past, but I want to do one final question here. And this is for you, Nathan. And they wanted to know, are there specific holiday centric segments that you would recommend leveraging in particular during the holiday season?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So one of the best ways to identify potential segments for the holiday is based on customer behavior ahead of time, right? So as you're doing campaign sending now, try and identify the patterns that people are interested in now, create a segment based on those that have clicked through and maybe have not purchased, right? And then set up those segments to do a big push for the holiday season with sales, right? But you need to start doing that now and tracking now.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. All right, we are unfortunately at time. I want to give a huge thank you to Nathan, Derek, and Lauryn for coming today and talking all things holiday for your clients. So yeah, thank you very much for coming. Tomorrow, the webinar recording will be sent out along with the deck and other information. So please let us know if you have any additional questions. Feel free to respond directly to that email. It'll be coming straight from me directly. And if you have any questions for our panelists, let me know then. And of course, yes, I'll be including the emails of our panelists in the email tomorrow if you want to reach out to them. And I highly recommend doing so. So panelists, if y'all want to say a quick bye, thank y'all very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.